And good morning, 11 a.m. in California. Got a laptop here, Ace Magic dual screen. Laptop that won't boot up. My plan is to start with telling you everything I know about the laptop, showing you what its current symptoms are, and giving you a chance to chime in as far as what you think. This will become topic 1. And you can address this topic by just typing a 1 in chat, then a space, and whatever you want to say about it. The first person who types 1 or 2 words in quotes, that'll become the title of the topic. So an ideal way to do it would be 1 space, quote, Ace Magic, quote, for instance, and then whatever you want to say, or just create the topic by doing that much. So what is it? Oh, by the way, then there's I've got an email from Tony Wallow and about a problem he's having, and then Sam Lazar very kindly gave us a follow-up email from his client issue that we discussed last week. And then I've got a channel comment too on one of Jim KJ3N favorite topics. Really? Yeah. So let's give you information about this laptop. Cam keyboard. Here we go. Yeah, I don't want to. Well, let's see if I can. I got the focus set way up there, so this might not focus very well. Yeah, so I'll just tell you the model is X1, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte of drive. CPU is Intel Core i7 1255U. And it won't boot. This is not the first time that I have seen this computer failing to boot. This computer belongs at the cabin. Some of you know about the cabin. Phil Stahl gets 100 points. What was that from? What did you do? Can we fix it? Oh, he did a title. That's it. I think I've got it set up now to where if you title a topic, you get points for that. I think I did that. Must have. Should I tell you what I know about it first or show you the symptom? Let's show you the symptom. That's more dramatic. Okay, so it's a dual screen. So this screen is going to always stay black because that's not a screen. There's the two screens. The way this works is you can use it 2 separate screens. If you want to use it as a single screen, you likely would do this, fold that around back. You can use this as a single screen, or you could have somebody sitting on the other side of the desk and they would see that side of the screen. Does that sound like Battleship, anybody? So I'm going to put it back to its dual screen mode. That is the way my client usually uses it. My client uses this up at the cabin to connect remotely to his office computer, which has 2 screens. So that's why he wanted 2 screens. Pressing the power button. Hopefully it's going to have the same symptom that I've seen it doing. Okay, I get nothing there. So let's plug power in. There we go. It's doing a rabbit through there. There's Ace Magic on both screens. This looks like it's Windows loading up. This is going to be a really short topic if it just works. Let's take that off screen because it worked. It worked. It's fixed. All it needed to do is to know that you guys are going to try to fix it. Interesting. Wow. The battery icon down here is showing that it's completely dead. And we had a notion of that when it failed to turn on. Now the computer has been left on. I mean, it has been left plugged in for a significant amount of time. I would have expected it to have charged up to full by now. So I think there's something else going on with the battery. So I'm going to tell you about the history of this computer. We can't fix it. It's not broke at the moment. See, I got to take that off screen. The reason why I took it off screen a moment ago was the, oh no, that's interesting. Oh, you know what? I think you get points every time you chime in on a topic. That's what it is. And was I just thinking? Oh yeah, I want to see it actually get to the desktop. The reason I took it off screen a moment ago because I wasn't sure if it was going to reveal client specific information. And of course, when we get to the login screen, it does. And I'm not typing in his password correctly. So let's check on that. Oh, yeah. All right, it has come up here, and yeah, I can show all this. So we got Windows Desktop showing the battery icon over here at 0%. So I'm going to say the battery is not charging properly. It shows a charge indicator. We'll leave that charging for a while and see how it does. See if we get a higher reading later. But I haven't told you what I know about the computer and about its history yet. So I told you it belongs up at the cabin. Last year, when they opened up the cabin for the season, the first time I went up, my client had not yet taken the computer out of a drawer. So it had been all winter long sitting in a drawer, not plugged into power. When I first tried to use it, I had very similar symptom. And what the symptom was is those rabbit lights going through the screen lights that I showed you a moment ago just kept going and going and going. And we had the Ace Magic logo would appear, and then the screens would be just black. Nothing would happen. I could force the power off and try starting it again and get the same symptom. Once I do that 3 times in a row, then it tried to do a recovery. Looked like it was trying to do a repair, but it just got to the first screen and then didn't show any more screens after that. My recollection is last year, I got it working somehow, but I don't really remember how. I was thinking that it was by going into BIOS and either resetting BIOS default or changing the drive type from AHCI to RAID or vice versa. And I don't think I used a Windows Repair USB because I probably didn't have that with me. I didn't make any notes about what I did to fix it because apparently I didn't think it was a big deal and that I'd be able to fix it again. Now at this point, I'm thinking just had to do with that battery getting up a little bit off of 0, even though it didn't say that. I have already tried this laptop at my client's office before bringing it home. I had it plugged into power and I futzed with it for a while in his office. Could not, I even got to the point of doing the 3 or 4 forced power offs in a row and the attempted repair, and then it just showed me nothing. I brought it home. I left it plugged into power overnight. And this is my first attempt doing anything with it. So I think that's Phil giving chiming in on a topic. So let's go see what I've got on the topics. Let's see. Let's do this way and then go topic 1. Can we fix it? It starts out saying, personally, I would use USB-C power meter to see what the amperage draw is. USB-C charging ports are notorious for failing as well. You know what? I think I have one. USB-C power meter to see what amperage draw. This is the power adapter that he had up at the cabin. Okay, I've made note of it, taken note of that. Then Phil Stodd, when you have a suspected battery problem, it is best to leave it on charge before trying to do a something. To do OOT. Oh yeah, an OOT. I didn't even think of doing an OOT. Greg says I would wiggle that power plug in the USB socket. That could be the issue. Well, okay. Well, it's already showing a charging indicator on the power icon. If it wasn't and wiggling it caused that, that little lightning bolt to indicate charging to show up and go away, or even if wiggling it, if I can make that go away, decent idea. And then he says, sorry, boot. That's what he meant before trying to do boot. Yeah, when I first went to work with the computer at my client's office, he did not have it plugged into the wall, but that's the first thing I did. I did not try to start it until plugging it in. And I already had a suspicion that it probably had to do with the battery and it being off all winter long in the cold, because that place gets cold. It's a cabin up in the snow. And then Zavi Menor, I thought we were going to have some real repair work. Yeah, so did I. Let's see now. If I turn on this topic crawl at the bottom, can we fix it? There's 6 out of 6. I have to move down through these to clear those. And there is a topic 2. So let's go look at topic 2. Oh no, that's not topic 2. Down at the bottom where it says S unnamed, that is topic S, which is social. And that means there was some kind of reference to saying hi to Doug. So that was Darren Gilholm at the top. Mr. Book says, hi, Doug. Hello. And Selden Ball puts in the at LWTDB. That also gets you automatically into the S topic for socializing with the Doug. Because of its watermark, I noticed you used Gemini to create your thumbnail. Yes. Have you considered using Google Flow? That method is usually a higher resolution, doesn't include a watermark. I have several different things available that can avoid the watermark. The only reason why I did that with Gemini is I was asking Gemini to give me a prompt for doing the thumbnail with, let's see, what was that? Adobe Firefly. Okay, I pay for Adobe Firefly along with the whole Adobe suite. And that's what many of my thumbnails have been. But it was interesting how Gemini did that. That thumbnail is not, I never posed that way. I never took a picture of myself that way. It put me in that pose off of a totally different picture. Yeah, no, I don't need to jump to yet another product. But thank you for the suggestion. And you never know. Sometimes people suggest things and I dismiss it and then later I go try it. So you never know. And then Phil Stodd went to title it. Now this topic is already titled social. I don't think you get to title this one. I think it's only the numbered topics that you can title. I might be wrong about that. I don't know. Did it say social before when we first started that? Okay. So there's no other topics there. Okay, Doug and his buttons. I hear, yeah, I'm hearing the fan, which indicates the fan has come on in order to cool it while it's aggressively charging. Is it still? I didn't do anything to shut it down. Yeah, it's still on. Let's. And the trackpad is dead. Oh, we might have something more going on here. Okay. So this screen is on. That's display A. This one is off. That's display B. This is showing A right here. When I press the enter key, I get nothing. When I try moving the mouse, I get nothing. With the fan going on now, I wonder if it's overheated because I closed it up. I don't even know if it is a touch screen. Can't change to a different screen. All right, I'm going to leave it open for a little while and see if it decides to play nice. I'll probably hear, I'll maybe be able to recognize it when the fan slows down. That's interesting. Yeah, Greg M, I see that. It'd be a good idea to not close a laptop while it's still running. I guess I assumed that it was going to sleep, but maybe I don't have it set up that way. I don't know. I just work here. They don't tell me nothing. And chat display one, that last was, let's see, where would I go for this? Chat display, turn that off. My laptop sometimes has battery issues during the winter. It sits for days. I need to warm it up for the battery to work correctly. Oh, that makes sense. Can't say I have a lot of experience with it, with batteries being in the cold. Trying to position this okay so I can move on. All right. I'm going to bring up the full chat and see, is Tony Wallow in chat? Yeah, there he is. I think we'll turn to Tony's issue next. If somebody wants to put in a topic for this, you could do to space, put Tony Wallow in quotes. Okay, yeah, stop doing that, Doug. Stop scrolling through chat. I'll bring up his email. Be sure it's clear. There's Jim with some comments somewhere. Let's see. You know what I need with that? Because I can't tell from that display where he put in a comment. There it is. If you leave a battery uncharged for months, it can kill it. Yeah, that's what I think is going on. I think this laptop ought to come down from the cabin at the end of the season. There's a new one in social. For what it's worth, Google Flow includes video generation. Yeah, well, so does Gemini. So does, yeah, that's not an unusual thing. So let me get this set up. I don't like the way this formats. Okay. Take what we got. And if I do this one, there we go. So Tony says, good morning, Doug. I know it's late before the show starts, but I have a problem on my Intel 660p. That's the model of the drive that he's got an issue with. I have two of those. I have two of those tribes. One I destroyed drives. I have two of those drives. One I destroyed because it stopped from Windows looking into it or something. It just stopped working. However, the other one is from HP. Something came off, and HP driver was secondhand drive. Okay, so a secondhand drive I bought some time back. Anyway, my problem is this. I was out downloading files to my other drive, which is a spinning drive, and for some reason, this drive, this Intel chip SSD, locks up my game. Your thoughts? All right, so he's doing voice to text dictation, but I think we can understand what he's saying there. He was downloading. Now, one of the things we don't have here is the full story. Like, was this on the short side? It could have been he was downloading files to another drive. He had just installed the suspect drive, and during that process of downloading files, the computer locked up. Oh no, and he suspects it's this drive, and it happened once. We don't know. How about restarting the computer? How about removing that drive? Have you proven that you can take that drive out, put it back in, and the problem only occurs when that drive is in place? That could be the situation. I don't know yet. I suspect he's going to give us some clarifications as we go through this. This part about the locks up his game. So that's kind of implying to me that maybe the first lockup occurred while he was trying to download some files to the spinning drive, and then he had encountered another lockup while he was playing a game. Has that been multiple times? Does he take out the drive and then everything works fine? My suspicion is that's the case, that he has tried both of these different types of operations. Well, maybe the game multiple times. The downloading to the spinning drive, that might have been once, I don't know. But I'm suspecting it sounds like you got a defective drive. Okay, so now how to investigate it. That's where I'll stop and give you a chance to respond. I have my thoughts of what I would do to investigate that further, but that lays out the foundation. Has anybody labeled that as topic 2? Yeah, down at the bottom, let's fix that background and make the text easier to see. I don't really like any of these colors. And 1 of 9, can we fix it? Social. I don't see anything on topic 2. If I punch up topic 2, nobody has started the topic for us. And here's the last comment on topic 1. Lithium batteries need to be fully charged for proper storage. Older NiCad batteries are better with no charge for long-term storage. Yeah, I think probably what happened with that computer at the end of the season is he went up to close down the cabin earlier than expected. So he went up there and started closing the cabin down. The laptop, I'm sure, was still in the drawer from the last session. When I use the computer up there, I always have it plugged in while I'm using it. I think he unplugs it and uses it around at different locations, and he's not going to bother with charging it up fully. Not unlikely to happen. So 2 space and then put in how would you investigate Tony's issue with the drive that he suspects is causing lockups. That's the issue there. Down at the bottom, when somebody starts that topic 2, it should show up down there. Now then, that is panel there in the upper right. That shows who's active in chat. I'll let that topic sit for a little while if nobody chimes in. You know what? I guess Phil's was talking about the battery issue there. He was not talking about Tony's issue. Next email. Is Sam Lazar in the house? I want to go for this. Bringing up another window over here. No, Sam's not here. That's okay because it's not a question. He is giving us a follow-up from the topic that we talked about last week. Yeah, see that thing up there? I need to know which topic he spoke up on. Oh, down at the bottom. Is there a topic 2? Oh, good. All right, then I will divert to that. Topic 2, Selden bulb. Does Tony have another computer he could try the drive on? Right? Fair. That's one thing you could do. To see if it locks up the other computer as well. All right. We'll let that topic sit and stew for a little while. And looking at Sam's email. Bring that up over here. Hi, Doug. How are you going? I just want to say a quick thank you for your assistance over the weekend via the YouTube live stream. That was last weekend, Saturday show. I visited my client yesterday, and we were expecting that to happen on Monday, I think is what he said that was going to happen, but he is giving this email late Monday. And we managed to get everything sorted out, which she was happy with. Here's a quick post-mortem on what was actually happening. So, yeah, the email that when he first described, the client was kind of upset because after he had done some work on her computer, then there were problems. And we got the impression that she was kind of upset and excited, not in a good way. File associations. So the first problem that she had was reported there was a shortcut on her desktop that was broken. And when she tries to launch it, it says it's missing. Do you want to delete the shortcut? And so it sounded like she was trying to blame Sam for that. File association. She had accidentally set all her spreadsheet files to open with Adobe Acrobat Reader by default, which caused the errors. Reverting the default app to Office 2003 immediately fixed it. So, and this is one of the things that I had suggested, that people will assume that it was your fault. Don't be defensive about that. Just be in their court. Don't let them think that they're going to get a defensive, resistive attitude from you, but that you want to go out and just fix it to make sure it's working right. So you go out there and you found the file associations was wrong. You fix the file association, explain that to her, and she probably realized, no, it wasn't Sam's fault. Now, he says that she accidentally set all her spreadsheet files to open with Adobe Reader. She probably didn't have any awareness that she had done that. Then regarding the printing, Yeah, after he worked on the computer, it wouldn't print anymore, right? The black ink was indeed empty. Exactly the same scenario that I had described that I recently ran into with a client. However, the other issue was that Chrome had decided to ignore her system's default printer and was trying to use the Chrome Save to PDF option instead. This was also a thing that I had suggested, is that whatever she's trying to print from needs to have the printer selected from there. It's not recognizing the default printer. Sam had uninstalled the old printer driver and installed a new printer driver. When he uninstalled the old printer driver, Chrome switched to whatever was available, which the next printer that it saw as available was saved to PDF. Now, when he put in the new driver, Chrome did not automatically switch over to the newly installed driver. You have to go do that manually. And how does a person, what are you going to do? Go check every one of their programs after installing a new driver? I guess you could have that habit, but wow. Website logins. Chrome had simply logged her out of the AFL tipping website. She had said that her internet looks different. It just looks different without any explanation. Well, somewhere through the process, she just got logged out of that site. For context, since you aren't familiar with it, AFL is Australian Football League, which, no, I didn't know that, our major national support. And that's not the long, oblong football some of you know. And tipping is a weekly competition where fans predict the winning teams. She was stuck on a login screen she didn't recognize and didn't know how to proceed. So, simple fix, again, not Sam's fault. Email client migration. Because she completely refused to pay for a new Office license or subscription, which I don't blame her for. I left Office 2003 installed, but loaded LibreOffice as a backup. Outlook 2003 was actually crashing when trying to load certain emails. Yeah, now that's one thing about using an obsolete, and you would need to explain this, is that it is not going to be able to understand all of the types of content that are in new emails these days. If somebody has created an email that is not supported by that old Outlook 2003, yeah, you could have problems. So I migrated her over to Betterbird, a more secure fork of Thunderbird. This keeps her free she doesn't have to pay for the current Microsoft Office product. It handles modern encryption seamlessly, and all our emails are loading perfectly now. Good move. Good way to go. The 3G VoLTE shutdown. I also had to warn her that her current mobile phone is old and potentially going to be blocked from the Australian phone networks. Certainly a possibility. I haven't done any research on that. I don't know that Sam has actually checked on, well, wait, maybe he's going to tell us that. Our government regulator here in Australia is currently mandating the shutdown of 3G networks, okay? Yeah. And non-compliant VoLTE devices for emergency calling safety. Okay, so non-compliant, all right, I'm understanding this to mean that currently non-compliant devices can make emergency calls, but they're going to be shutting that down. She initially argued that if her phone loses service, she will just use it to call me. I see a problem with that. Anybody? I finally got through to her by explaining that phones, Wi-Fi, and laptops are all just radios, and she can't use a radio if the tower is turned off. It finally registered for her. So think of it, if a phone cannot connect to 000 or is too old, it would get blocked. 000 is the Australian version of 911. Thank you for explaining that, Sam. I would not have known that. Now, what about if ACMA is mandating the shutdown of 3G networks? Would the phone still be able to place phone calls through Wi-Fi? Of course, It's not going to work when she's away from a Wi-Fi signal. But could it still place calls through Wi-Fi? I think she'd still have to have a calling plan, right? But then it wouldn't matter that 3G is not working, that she could make calls from home. Maybe that would be adequate for her. I don't know. I don't think I would suggest it, because maybe it's just asking for trouble. Moving forward, the plan is for her to continue using the laptop as is and just call me when she runs into issues. Fine. I did try to explain the importance of backing up her system via an external hard drive or cloud storage. She unfortunately views it as a waste of money right now. Thanks again for bouncing ideas off of me. Now, in this bit here, what I would do for that is on my invoice, on the time slip for the time that I spent with her, I would say discussed the importance of backup issues. Client declined to pursue at this time. So you have documentation that she declined doing backups and that you explained it to her. And quite possible, once she receives that invoice, maybe that causes her to think about it a little bit more. Maybe that'll stick with her. Maybe she sees some other article or hears some other news item or something about damage to or loss to somebody because they didn't have any kind of backups. That just not in an adversarial way, but just documents that I suggested that. That way, down the road, if something does happen and she has a loss and she comes back and says, why didn't you tell me about this? You can go back and say, I did. And then somebody might argue that you should have tried harder. No, it's just pushing the point too far. Okay. Now, let's see. I'm looking at the bottom to see there's one more on social. And topic 2 has some comments. Topic 2 is still untitled. Yeah, why do I... This is a new button, so I don't remember where to go for it. This is... Now, down at the bottom, that says social, but top... Oh, no, I see. Top left says topic 2 untitled. Yeah, anybody can title it by typing 2 space, and then within quotes, what you choose to title it as. Darren. Oh, did I call you Daryl? I know, I somehow, I have somebody in my life I know as Daryl. Sorry, Darren Gilholm. If there's a lot of read-write going on, the drive could be overheating. It then takes a nap until it cools down. Would that cause the computer to lock up? Okay, so my thoughts on Tony's issue. Somebody already suggested, let's see, Selden suggested trying that drive in another computer. I'd want to bring up Crystal Disk Info and see what the smart drive info says about it. If there's problems showing up right there, then that kind of tells you right there's a problem with that drive. It is a secondhand drive. We know that. It is locking up the computer. And I don't know how often it's locking it up. There's topic 2 is titled now as lockup. And Tony, if you're responding to any of my questions here, you need to do 2 space and then type in your message so it shows up on this screen. Jim says, yep, that it could lock up the computer when it takes taking a nap. It's not politely taking a nap then, right? Domain 2000 depends on what kind of lockup. Drive retrying, a basic disk diagnose, read smart and surface scan for bad sectors. Yeah, and you can do then crystal disk mark to test the speed to see if it has speed issues. Jim says Windows gets very pissy about drive access. Yeah, I've seen where when you have a bad drive in a computer, everything about the computer, not even when you're not trying to access that drive, will be slow or even locked up. Now, in Tony's description of the game locking up, does that mean it's totally locked up? If the computer's totally locked up and now you have to hold the power button on the computer to force it down? Or does lockup mean that it freezes and then it goes and then it stalls and then it goes? So we got to define what lockup means, but that isn't going to make a difference in what I think the next steps are. Crystal disk info, crystal disk mark, take the drive out. Does the computer always function personally? Put it back in. Does it always function badly? I just replace the drive at that point. I think there are techniques, utilities that claim to be able to bring a drive back to life, but in my world, I would never spend the time on trying to do that. I just replace the drive. Jim says Windows constantly accesses a drive even when you're not doing anything. Yeah, it's constantly polling everything on your computer to see what is crying out for attention right now. So no matter what you're doing, if you've got a bad component in there, it can be fouling up whatever you're trying to do right now. I haven't seen any responses from Tony in there. If there are responses from Tony that I'm not seeing, somebody could type in a 2 space and let me know that. I'm trying to stay out of the general population chat so that you guys can talk back and forth and I don't get confused. That was one of my pain points with the chat room, is I'd read somebody's message, and regardless of what they're saying, I'm thinking they're talking to me when they're actually responding to somebody else. So they might say something, be given some kind of compliment, and I say thank you, and then I realize that they were talking to somebody else later. So that's part of what's behind this new setup for me. All right, now one of Jim KJ3N's favorite topics. It's going to be short, Jim. 3 space and put in your comment for this new one. Let's see, what is he putting on? Take a little diversion there. Move to the bottom and move up. Have you ever tried booting a Windows machine that has a failing hard drive? Yeah, difficult. That Intel 600 is a pretty old SSD. Yeah, my inclination would be to replace it. And then we'll take a quick look at social. That's Charlie Purdy. Hello to you too. Okay, now. We got Tony, we got Sam. Then we move on to one of Jim's favorite topics. A comment on one of my videos. Pamela Hodge. Oh, wait a minute. I need to do video link. Almost forgot. Put that in here. I responded at this point in today's live stream showing how to block a sender. Give her a thumb up and a heart. And she says, thank you so much for this video. It worked. It doesn't work for everybody. This is about getting back to Yahoo standard mode. Also, the option to block a sender has gone away. Any suggestions on this issue? Now, it could be that she's gone back from the new Yahoo Mail to the basic. And maybe that was the good news for her and didn't actually get to the deprecated version, which is what most people wanted. It was the old new version. So in the basic version, the way to block a sender is a bit different. Now to bring this up, I'm going to demonstrate. Let's get studio mode up here. I'm gonna close that screen. There's studio mode. Bring up my email there and turn on a blur. There's the blur, and then transition that. So here you go. This is the basic version, and I don't know if you got put onto the so I gotta remember her name. There it is, Pamela. If you got onto the basic version or the deprecated version, but I think you're probably in the basic version. How do you get to settings? Yeah, on some versions, there's a settings gear icon over in this upper right area. On some versions, there's a settings option down here on the left side, or maybe even a more button, the 3-dot ellipsis. But on this version, how do you get to settings? The answer to that is over here. Do this drop-down list, and then click on settings here. It's not intuitive at all. Click on that, and then click go. Now I can turn off that blur. Oh, to do that, I've got to turn off studio mode. So now what you do is over here on the left-hand side where it says blocked addresses, click on that. And then right up in here, type the address that you want to block. What was Ken Stout's thing? I don't remember. Type in whatever address, or if you've done a Control-C copy from somewhere else, you can paste it into this field. It's not as easy as what you're used to doing, what you're used to using. But in the basic version, this is the way to do it. Okay. Jim, you can come back now. Come back into the room. So, and I hope that helps you, Pamela. And that's the end of that one. Now, I don't see any other contributions to the topics. Let's take a look at this laptop charging state. You know what? I don't remember if I actually wound up. No, I did not shut it down, did I? Yeah, it still looks like it's at 0. Oh, and it's locked up. I never even went past that. Control-Alt-Delete. Did that get me anything? Oh, I was listening. It was the fan that I wanted. Yeah, I still hear the fan. It's not super loud. I'm going to force it off. And just leave it plugged into electric. All right. I'm through all of my topics that were up my sleeve. Are there any other questions in chat? Yeah, there I'm scrolling through chat again. I don't like doing that. I need to not do that. What I could do is turn my attention to things from my week. Stories from the trenches. If you have another topic to bring up, type the number 3 and a space, and then your message. Best way to do that. I have 6 new computers on hand waiting to be installed. And I'm going over here to go pull up a timesheet, see what things it reminds me about that I've done. That one for Zavi was back on the can we fix it issue. He's coming up with something else about this laptop. So we'll go look at that. Is the LED indicator for charging on? That's a good question. And here's the answer. Yes, it is. Yes, that's responding. Now it goes red. It was green when we first looked at it, which I would normally expect that green indicates it's fully charged. But we know it's still reading 0, which is implying that the battery's not taking a charge at all, even though it indicates that it's with the lightning bolt that it's charging. This red is what I would expect to see, or it makes sense, when the battery is at a 0 state. And I'm going to turn this so that I can see that light anytime I glance over that direction. It's curious that it was green. I am very much over making the assumptions that there are standards, that different computers are going to do things the same way that I think they ought to, that everybody ought to be doing it. Okay. Oh, speaking of suspect bad drives, I have 2 computers, and I've told you this before, that are exhibiting a problem that Kerry Holzman has shown in the past, and he showed a solution. I have not attempted that solution on either of these. Baby Beast is one of those. And the issue is that it will just suddenly, whether I'm working on it or not, the screen will go black and a message, your device ran into a problem and needs to restart, and show a percentage, 0%, and it never advances beyond 0%. And what he reported that as was a bad drive, that he'd replace the drive and it would be okay. The drive would check out fine. The smart reporting information and the crystal disk mark would show fine, and the computer would work fine most of the time, but then occasionally it would crash this way. And I've had both of these computers, a laptop of mine and Baby Beast, both do that. So what I need to do is to try swapping out those drives. I just haven't got to it. It's an old story about the mechanic's car is the one that doesn't run real well. So let's come over here to topic 1 and see those last 2 comments. Greg M., this is why a USB-C power meter is helpful. It will show how many amps the laptop is pulling. A laptop should charge a battery at 700 milliamps to 3 amps without the battery on if the battery is really low. It may take a while for the amps to get to that level if the battery is very low. Yeah, so let me contemplate what it would take to get to my USB power meter. Where would that thing be? Let's start with trying over here. No. Then let's go somewhere else and check on it. See if I get switched over to this microphone. Yes, that indicates I am. I'll go look at a couple of different racks. I have a bunch of boxes in my car that I carry supplies around with me, but I'm hard pressed to imagine that I would have carried a USB power meter in the car. Like, I've had never a time when I wanted to use it. And I'm sure I put it someplace that makes sense, because I would obviously know where it is when I try to go find it. Now, I have no idea if you're still hearing me now. Going out to the garage. There's lights. I got these boxes in my car that are organized pretty decently. And I think the sensible box for that to be in would be the power box that contains items related to power, or it could be in the USB box, or it could be in the tools and such box. And then USB power meter. How about that? I found a box labeled USB power meter. All right, I'm going to bring this whole box inside, get a little bit of idea how I organize things. Again, I don't know if you have heard me talking this whole time. All right. Kitchen. Hallway. Incoming. All right. Okay. Yeah, so tools and such. And then this box, USB power meter. I didn't look to see if it's actually in here, did I? Oh, it's not. You can give me somebody can give me an exclamation mark Y if you did hear me while I was going out to the garage. Exclamation mark N if the answer is no. Inquiring minds want to know. That would be a yes. Thank you. Not here. All right, I'm going to go back and figure that I might have put it in a different box. I can't recall the last time that I used it. Oh, what's this? This says USB meter. Oh, I think this is it. All right, so I have USB-C in and out. So it looks to me like I would put, let's see, this says input, Type-C, output. There's another Type-C, input. I would suspect that what I need is coming from the charger. I would want to input into this device, and I would want to output to the computer, but there is no Type-C. This is the only male Type-C, and that's labeled input. Power delivery charger input. Power delivery charger output. So I could use a Type-C cable to go from this one labeled output to the computer, and from the AC charger here for input. I'm inclined to think that's the way to go. So Greg M and Greg M, is this similar to your device? So if I unplug that from the laptop, go input there, and then use a Type-C cable from there to the computer. All right, find a Type-C nearby. I need Type-C on both ends. I'm sure I've got one of those over here. A few of those. Yeah, there's one right there. Top of the stack. Okay. Type C output. There's no light on the laptop, so I don't think I have this right. There's a power light on this. I'm suspecting, yeah, here's an input DC 5.5. I think this needs to be powered for it to operate. That looks like a power cable for the device. After connecting in the way shown in the picture, the display screen will light up. So shown in the picture. Yikes. All right. Connect one of them. Okay, so that's showing if I get this thing turned the direction that they're showing, this way. So on this side, they're showing that I should be inserting these devices on these 4 ports. If I'm dealing with these devices, I should be dealing with these ports. All of these are for the load. So the device that is taking the power should be on this side. And these are all devices providing power. So it shows notebook on both sides, but I think this side, the notebook, is for supplying power. So that implies to me that all of these 4 ports are for supplying power to the device. And so that affirms plugging in this charger to that port. And I need to put something that's going to be drawing power on one of these ports, which would include this one. I think that's exactly what I had set up. After connecting in the way shown, which I've done, the display screen will light up, or it won't, because it's not. Shortly press M to switch the screen. That would be to switch it to a different display, I think. Continually press OK to rotate the screen. Yeah, nothing happening. I don't see an obvious battery compartment. I don't hear anybody chiming in on this. You do a 1 space and then whatever your message is. I did tinker around with this a little bit, and I got it doing something. The charge indicator on the laptop is not lighting up. Yeah, I know, because nothing. This guy is dead. Yeah, it's not lighting up the laptop. It's not. Something's not working through this. Greg says all the meters USB I've used. If you have a draw, the meter will power up. And I have tried this. I did have something functional with it. Okay. Now, could that mean that the computer's not drawing? Could there be something about this cable? Where else would I turn to try something? How about, all right, that's a little unconventional idea. What if I take the output of this battery, plug in a type A USB here. This is where it provides power to a USB device, and try to charge this battery. Now I need a type A to type C. Let's catch up on what you're saying here. May take a while for amps to get to that level if the battery is very low. Typical battery charge profile will start low current draw. On a dead battery, ramp up mid-charge, slow down when nearing full charge. Yeah. Charge indicator on the laptop, it's not lighting up. Got it. All the meters USB I've used. If you have a draw, the meter will power up. Try the adapter on another laptop. Yeah, I could bring my laptop in from the kitchen. Give it time to recharge. Solid amber orange. The battery is currently charging normally. It will stay solid while capacity rises from low to moderate levels. Yeah, that's what I was going to do, but the question came up about using this USB meter to actually see the draw going through it. Is that AC adapter rated at 19V? Just because it has USB-C does not mean it is for that laptop. It is the charger that came with the laptop. It is the correct charger. It's not the charger that came with that. I question whether it's the right charger for the laptop I have in the kitchen. Okay, I've got type A to type C right here. I probably wouldn't have taken the time to futz around with one of these USB power meters. Oh, all right, so that's an input there. Oh, look at that, it lit up right away. What does that tell you? Without a load. Bada boom, bada bing. This guy's not producing. I would have had, what was it, Greg? You're the one that said use a meter? As soon as I plug the meter into a power source, boom, it lights up. Tell me this one's dead. Yet, when I plug it into the laptop, it responds with a light. That was misleading. Could it be just the laptop recognizing something is plugged in? Yeah, Greg, never assume, always verify. Yeah, even a GAN battery will usually charge laptops. Okay. I'm gonna go get this side of that adapter. I cannot swap out the cable. It's a hardwired cable. Output, this is worded weirdly, output 5V, and then it's got a little symbol there. It looks like the symbol is a solid line with 3 dashed lines under it, then 3 amps / 9 volts, and then 3 amps / 12 volts, and then 3 amps / 15 volts, 3 amps / 20 volts, and then at the end, just 3.25 amps. So the way I read this, I haven't seen one of these listed this way before, is that it's 5 volts at 3.25 amps. It can provide power for that, a device that needs that. It can also provide power for a device that needs 3 amps at 9 volts, or 3 amps at 12 volts, or 3 amps at 15 volts, or 3 amps at 20 volts. So if you do the math there, you find 60 watts at the high end. And at the low end, I think there's 27, 20, 36, 45. Yeah, so this one would have been the lowest at 27 watts. So Phil Stodd asks, what is the output of the power brick you're using? I just went over that. And the V with the solid line indicates DC voltage. Well, V with the solid line. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're saying there. But that just stands out obvious to me as DC. But now that you mention that, there is no, they don't actually label AC/DC, but we know that. All right, so let's try some other power sources. Here's a USB-C that was just hanging out on my desk. And it would be this, whoops, where is it? Okay, put the wording right side up, and then the first input on the right is over here. That lights up. And then here is a micro USB, I think it's called. Yeah, I think this was one of the input. Was it? No. Power, well, it says power supply. Yeah, it lights up. I think this might be a auxiliary power supply for the device. Now, what Greg was saying about having a draw, you're not going to see any readings, any measurements, any voltage until you're actually drawing from the device. So there I've plugged that adapter in again, putting an input here. I do an output there and into my battery, not getting any readings. I go from the big battery into here, I'm getting readings. It's showing me a voltage. Phil says, what output is the power brick that you're using? I read those already. It has a variety of power outputs that it can do. Oh, I'm sorry, I already read that from you. Saying 5 volts DC output. Yeah, when I have something here, but it is varying because this battery is pretty close to full charge already. Yeah, it's got 4 dots, which indicates full charge. Yeah, now it's gone down. And Zvi Manor, is there other USB-C ports in the computer and what symbol? Yeah, I'll show you that. Describe it. You should see 19V normally for laptops and amp draw if battery is being charged. Well, that to answer what the laptop consumes, we can look on the laptop itself. Input DC 20 volts, 3.25 amps. So that's what it needs to have supplied to it. So 20 at 3.25, and we'll see if that was one of the multiple choices it had. Well, 20 at 3.25, that would be over 60 watts. The 20 volt said 3 amps. The computer says 3.25, but this is the adapter that came with the laptop. So even though its numbers don't quite match, I don't think that could be a condemning factor. Now, Zvi was asking for how the ports are labeled. There are 2 Type-C ports here. And the power light was next to the one that I was plugging into. This one has a symbol of a battery. This one has the SS for super speed and the USB symbol and a external monitor symbol. So this one you would use for high-speed USB, and for an external monitor, this one would be clearly for the battery. The other side, I think, is just a type A. Yeah, type A and an HDMI port. So now I'm thinking I've got a defective charger. This guy right here, because that should light up this device just right now. Well, not while it's not plugged in. I'll try wiggling wires. And I think next I'm going to go grab the charger that I have on my laptop out in the kitchen. Yeah, no question about that. Supply power here, and this thing should light up. Oh, this is showing, I think somebody said that, this is showing 5 volts, even though I don't have any draw on it, but it's not going to show any amperage going through until I have a draw, right? Okay, so I'm going to go get my laptop and its charger. And before I go get that, let's take a look here. Should see 20 volts on the meter. I'm getting nothing on the meter when I plug in that power supply. Seems you're using the right port to charge, yeah. Power meter may not be able to negotiate on a higher voltage. So thinking that, all right, maybe you got something there. Voltage current range 3.6 volts, 5.1 amps. USB and DC current, voltage, capacity, power, etc. tester. But 5 volts is one of the options on that power supply. 5 volts, 3.25 amps, I think it was. All right, I'm going to go get my laptop. I don't think this is going to help us any. Because this uses a barrel connector on this charger, but it looks like this Type-C port is also for power. When I plug that in, the light adjacent to the port goes red. My battery is at 99% on this laptop. Craig M says no laptop runs on 5 volts. Most use 19 volts. Dell Alienware can draw 200. Yeah. The question though is the device, the power meter, will it run when it's supplied over 5 volts? Or does it have a problem with that? Now that could be where providing an independent power source for this device could be useful, but right here it says power supply for, and then there's a tilde, 30V/NTC. Is it 30 or is it 3.0? There's no decimal point. The number 4, then a tilde, and 30V/NTC. I don't know what that is. So how else could I test whether this device will operate when it's supplied power from a higher power supply? This is a USB power tester. So we're using it to measure input power that comes in through a USB-C cable, which will cause me to think that this should be capable of handling anything that goes through USB. The question now is, can it work with this higher input? So let's go get Gemini to chime in on this. Phil Stodd, I ran into a problem with LED lighting on a 48V forklift once. The 12 volt to 48 volt light would not light because the battery was at 52 VDC. All right. Well, I'm going to go try to get an answer through Gemini. Honestly, at this point, I would have just ordered an adapter. It is not worth this time. This thing is called a torch. And it's not listed in my Amazon purchases under that name. There it is. Okay, here's the device, $35. I'm going to copy a link here. Phil says many devices have overvoltage protection built in. I am trying to use this USB power meter to diagnose a problem charging a laptop. When I connect the Type-C USB cable from the power adapter that came with this laptop to the meter, the meter does not light up. When I connect other power sources to the meter, even without a draw, the meter lights up. The thing I'm suspicious of is that the power rating for this laptop is higher, and there's an implication that this USB meter needs a 5-volt voltage for it to operate. Notice I didn't even ask a question. It'll assume the question. Completely normal for USB laptop chargers. It all comes down to power delivery works. Output 0 volts by default. Your laptop charges uses USB-C power delivery standard. Key safety features that the charger is essentially dead until it detects a valid device has been plugged into. It relies on communication pin to tell it the device is ready. So I bet this device is not passing that communication through. Your USB meter is pass-through. Most USB testers are designed to be invisible pass-through devices. They do not trigger that CC communication line themselves because they are not the device being charged. When you plug the meter in the laptop adapter by itself, the adapter thinks nothing is connected, so it continues to output 0 volts. Fine. I didn't tell it that it still wouldn't light up when I connected the laptop. You suspected the meter might need 5 volts to operate while the laptop chargers use a higher voltage. It's true that the meter needs initial 5-volt negotiation wake up, but almost all USB-C meters on the market are designed to handle the higher voltages, usually up to 20, 24, 30, required by laptops. Your issue isn't the charger voltage too high, it's the charger currently giving 0 volts. How to use your meter. Plug the USB meter into your laptop's power adapter. Plug the cable going to your laptop into the output side of the meter. I did that. Once the laptop is physically connected to the end of the chain, the laptop will signal the adapter to turn on. The adapter will output initial 5 volts. Your meter will light up. Then you will likely see the voltage jump as the laptop charger negotiate faster charging speed. You'll then be able to read the amps. Yeah, so that's all confirming that we were doing this correctly. Now, what I've got in mind to do next is here I've got the adapter plugged into AC on the back side of the desk. Input over here. Type-C output here. Connect to the laptop. I've got a red light here. Oh, I've got a reading. Why do I have a reading now and I didn't earlier? Alrighty then. Is it because was it the order of connections? Yeah, I don't know. All right, so I got 20.20 volts, 0.114 amps, 2.313 watts. That doesn't, I don't think that's an impressive rate of charge, is it? This time when I plugged it in, it seems to be working. It shows 20.20 volts, 0.114 amps, 2.313 watts. The laptop indicates the battery is dead. Fix some of my speakos there, not typos, they're speakos. That doesn't sound like enough power draw. Which I think would go back to the battery, not capable of charging. Charger perfectly healthy. Bad news. 2.3, essentially zero power for a laptop. Laptop with a dead battery should be pulling anywhere from 30 watts to 100 watts. Yeah, that makes sense. Drawing only 2.3 watts means the laptop is just sipping enough power to keep a tiny internal chip awake. It's not charging the battery. Because the 20 volts reached the laptop successfully, we know the charger is doing its job. Laptop internal circuitry refusing to pull the current needed to fill the battery. I refuse. Deep discharge protection, best case scenario. If a lithium-ion battery sits dead for a long time, entirely possible, it can drop below a safe voltage threshold. The laptop's battery management system will refuse to send a massive 60-watt charge into it because that could cause a fire. Instead, it trickle charges at a tiny wattage, like your 2.3 watts, to slowly and safely wake up the battery. A completely dead faulty battery. The battery cells have degraded or failed completely. The laptop sees the battery is there, realizes it's broken, cuts off the power flow to protect it itself. Greg M says 0.114 amp is either a fully charged battery or pre-charged current. Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're hearing here. So I mean, I just leave it plugged in for a couple days. Now, I did get it powered on. If I turn it on, I expect we'll see a higher draw because it's not going to be running from the battery. Faulty internal charging IC. The chip on your laptop's motherboard responsible for taking that 20-volt power, physically pushing it into the battery, has failed. A bad cable. Sometimes the cable has intact communication pins, allowing the negotiation, but the actual power delivery wires inside are frayed or damaged, creating high resistance, preventing high current from flowing. So we talked earlier about just wiggling the cables. See if there's any variance. No. Next steps, the wait and see. That's what I'm feeling. Leave it plugged in exactly as it is for 30 to 60 minutes. Watch the USB meter. If the wattage suddenly jumps to 30 watts after a while, it means the battery was just deeply discharged and is now safely accepting a normal charge. All right, so that we can get an indication before having to wait for a couple of days. Wintermute says, try running a battery report with the command power config battery report. Okay. We might look at that in a little bit. I want to finish this first. Try another port. If your battery has a second USB port, plug the meter and charger into that one. Sometimes the port itself has a burnt out pin. Could that other port also accept input power? Possible. It is taking power, 0.083 amps. In the intended port, 0.126 amps. So higher. I was going to say significantly higher, but it's still a small number. Rule out the cable. If the power's adapter's cable is detachable, it is not. Swap it out with another high-quality USB cable. That doesn't help us. If you try those and it still stubbornly sits at 2 watts, you're almost certainly looking at a hardware failure inside the laptop. Most likely a dead battery needs replacing. Does your laptop have another USB-C port you can test on? Yada, yada. I'm not going to bother answering that question. Oh, hitting buttons wrong, Doug. There's the battery report from Wintermute. Gentleman 2000 with battery issues. I always use this tool. Many of your newer laptops have a hardware diagnostic test mode built in the UEFI. This may have this function. Greg says the amperage is slowly increasing. The battery is being charged slowly. Yeah, we're at 0.128, 0.129. What was it when we first started out? Something like 0.0 something, I think. Sabine Manor, when the battery is completely dead, sometimes it's necessary to boost the voltage while the battery is disconnected, and only then can it perhaps be charged. All right, I'd like to see what happens when I turn the computer on. I'm expecting it'll be a higher draw, but that's not really promising for the battery. The battery still needs to get to a point where it can receive a charge. And it makes a lot of sense to me that being in that drawer all winter long drained it down to a unsafe level and could have damaged it to the point that it won't accept a charge. But I'll accept Greg M's report that that is higher than what we started at. All right, now I know you can't, oh, there you can see. There you can see the 0.130 now. Oh, let's open it. Kerry Holzman, hello, Kerry. He says, something happened to the same laptop I have here. I guess he has the same laptop. Okay, so 0.130, power on, 0.7, 1.0, 1.4, 1.3, 1.2, 1.5, 2.1, 1.7, 0.4, 0.5. The computer is not booting up. And it has those rabbit lights for the display selection and nothing coming up on the screen, which is the symptom that it has exhibited before. But I'm feeling rather optimistic about forcing it off again, holding the power button down, and give it time to see if the battery comes to life. So right now it's showing 0.5, and I think this is still because the motherboard is drawing some, those rabbit lights are even going. So I'm holding down the power button now to force it off, and we'll see what happens to these numbers once it forces off. We should be able to see it. There's going down to 0.2, 0.1. .14. Yeah, I'm just feeling pretty comfortable to just leave the thing charging that way for a while. And Carrie goes on, I had the laptop off and in the original box, and it will not power on anymore. Yeah, Carrie, I don't know if you heard the original story on this one, but this was a laptop up at the cabin. It was left in a drawer over the winter, and this is the second year in a row where it would not power on. Now, having gone through this experience, I told you earlier that I futzed with it a while I was at the cabin last year, and I got it working, and I'm thinking now, highly likely what I did is I left it plugged into power overnight. And then the next morning, I was able to get it turned on, but not understanding what part of what I did actually brought it back to life. So now I'm feeling kind of optimistic that this slow, low amperage charge over a period of time will get it to a point to where it can accept a charge, or the battery's just flat out damaged and it will never get to that point because it got drained too low. It says, I believe the battery is bad, cannot find a replacement anywhere, otherwise the laptop is still brand new. Oh, interesting. I have not tried to find the battery. The client likes the laptop, so do I. Greg says there are fuses in batteries made up of solder and a heater. The BCM, battery control management chip, can blow that fuse if the cells in battery are not balanced, thereby preventing battery from charging. If you want mine, I can't fix it, and Ace Magic offers no parts. Oh, sure. Thank you. Am I going to be able to do much with it? Carrie, have you left it plugged in for multiple days? Because that's what I'm feeling at the moment. I did let's see, I brought it home from the client's office. I think I left it plugged in overnight, but then I don't think I even tried starting it up after leaving it on overnight. I just saw the opportunity to save it until today. Let's go see what's going on the social topic. Oh, actually, Carrie just answered. I just left it plugged in overnight. Battery inside is puffy. That's dead. Puffy battery, I'm not going to try to get any more life out of it. And now that you mentioned that, I'm checking out the computer. There's nothing externally visible about the battery. I've seen a lot of laptops where the battery gets puffy inside and the case starts separating. Did you have to open the case to see that the battery was puffy? Or was it obvious externally? Give him a chance to respond before I go to the social tab. Yes. Did you have to open it to see the battery is puffy, or was it obvious from the outside? Yes. I'm going to take that to mean he had to open it to see the battery is puffy. Case is easy to open. Oh. Okay. That's something we can do, huh? Oh, I'll say. All right. I'm going to unplug it for that, because if it is a puffy battery, I don't want it back in service at all. And the chances that the next 5 minutes are going to be of any significance at all is unlikely. Yeah, Jim says, bigger problem is if you can get a replacement battery. More likely, what it might be able to do is, based upon what Carrie said, is to find another same model laptop that is being sold for parts, and whatever its problem is, it's other than the battery, like a broken screen, and then swap the batteries. Carrie, do you know anything about warranty on these from the manufacturer? And working with Ace Magic for warranty replacement or warranty coverage? He says maybe the batteries in this model are usually bad. I'm going to guess that was regarding my idea of finding a laptop for parts. Purchasing that not knowing whether the battery's good or not, I mean, you can't count on what somebody tells you. Let's see. Phil says puffy lithium item batteries are sometimes a potential fire hazard. Certainly. Looking around the perimeter to see if there's any little gap. I don't see anything. This rubber piece here, it was hard to imagine that it's got screws under there. Do you remember, Carrie? There's a rubber pad here and the rubber pad here, but with those screws all around the perimeter, it seems highly unlikely. Grab the edge below the monitor, Carrie says. And it gives me a website, minipcunion.com, for Ace Magic support. The edge below the monitor. Okay, edge below the monitor. Got The edge below the monitor. So I'm saying that's the basically the back of the computer. So these sides here. I have come across a couple laptops where you take the screws off and it just almost falls off by design. And that's giving me a little something. Jim says check under the rubber. Carrie says there's screws under the rubber. All right. This rubber's just tearing. I want it to come up. So far, no. There's a couple of holes, but there's no screw. No screws. All right. Let's come over here. I want to take the bottom off the computer so I can check to see if the battery is swollen. I have removed 10 screws. There are some rubber feet, but I checked under one of the rubber feet and there's no screws. Do you have any information how to get the back off? Or can you find any links for that? Oh, Kerry says he has a video. Can send you showing me taking it apart and showing the puffy battery. Can you do a put a link into chat? That would be the easy way. Okay, let's see what it tells me here. General disassembly. I don't want general disassembly. I don't want general disassembly. I want you to go find documentation. While that's going, I'll go try searching Carrie's live. Magnifying glass, Ace Magic. Let's review. It's going to be showing something about troubleshooting, right? Nope, that's all I find for Ace Magic. No dice. I'm reading the titles a little more carefully. I don't recognize any of those as being the right one. All right, hopefully he's looking for that right now. I'll go look at the social topics. See, there's 4. Catherine Anna Hauserman. Hello, Catherine. Unbothered Avocado. Hello. You need universal adapter for power. It's really useful. Yeah, I have one that I bought before USB Type-C power was a thing. I'd never come across this. So yeah, no, not really useful in what I do, but for a person who comes across, repairing computers or troubleshooting them a lot, most of the work that I do, that's not a thing. Universal adapter, I have one too, so I can try out connectors and order the correct laptop PSU. Got it. Thank you. Okay. Oh, what did Gemini come up with? Still need the exact make and model. I did. Oh, that's because I'm not on that right now. Oh, I see. Let's go take this, because I had a conversation with Gemini previously about this model. So I'm going to go to that conversation and ask it that question, because this chat conversation knows the model. Okay, Zavi, I see you put in a link for Ace Magic, contact us. That doesn't sound like a link that's going to show me how to disassemble the laptop. That's all that's actually of interest to me at the moment. But I'll capture that and use that later. You know what? Let's go grab that this way. Yeah, all right, so I have that up for use later. This is still generic. Oh, Zavi was clarifying that that's for a replacement battery. Thank you. Now let's see, this way. Oh, let's get the screen closed properly. All right, I see Carrie's link. I see there's there. Is that it? Okay, so let's go look at Carrie's video. Okay, I'm going to ask a question over here. Where in this video does he disassemble this? Oh, well, he's taking me straight to it. I don't need to ask AI that question. Looks like he's taking me straight to the right place. Okay, I've got it muted. I'm going to speed the video up. We're at 4 times speed. And doing the screws. All right, I'm going to use the letter L to hammer ahead a little bit and see where he starts pulling it up. Go forward, he's got one of these guys, which I have one of those. Using the letter L to go forward until I see him actually making some progress. Then we'll back up. There we go. Okay, so there's back by the HDMI port. Okay. There we go. I have it. Same tool. I saw him using it all around the laptop. And I'm seeing a little bit of space right here. There we go. This tool just might become my first my first choice in the future. All right, let's take a look and see if there's any wires before I just pull that sucker off. There are wires. Oh, that battery does not look swollen to me. Not at all. I've seen plenty of swollen batteries. All right, seeing as how I'm overtime, I think that's all I'm going to do there. Go back to the plan of letting it charge for a long time. Very good. There. Yeah, he says, your battery looks much better than mine. Yeah, that battery looks okay. That doesn't mean that it's going to accept a charge, but, and if it does, then what we're going to need to do is have him regularly bring this computer back to Fresno when he closes the cabin and not leave it up there over the winter. Oh, how about the BIOS battery? I'm not seeing it. Yeah, not seeing it. All right, I'm going to check out. We're out of here. Let's see. See a name. See, that is there. Oh, Sam Lazar. Hi, Sam. Yeah, I went through your email earlier. You can scrub back to find that portion if you so choose. Let's see, it only says 1:06 p.m. Yeah, that was earlier. I'm not sure when it was. Let's see, we've done all of those. And that'll do it. Here's the email address if you want to send a question or a story or something that you came across, something you'd like me to respond to, then you can send it that way. Other than that, have a great weekend, everybody. I will catch you later. Goodbye.
That's all, folks.
Tune in. Today is a week for Windows support, the help you seek. Send an email, leave a comment, join the chat. Our tech-savvy crew is where it's at. Not just me, but a whole community, helping you solve tech mysteries. With friends who are here almost every day, we love to chat and help you find your way. So subscribe now, be part of the team. For Windows support and more than you dream. Join the fun, don't miss a single stream. At LiveWindowsTraining-DougBetts or simply we're tech support supreme. We're tech support supreme. Tune in, days a week for Windows support, the help you seek. Send an email, leave a comment, join the chat. Our tech-savvy crew is where it's at. Not just me, but a whole community, helping you solve tech mysteries. With friends who are here almost every day, we love to chat and help you find your way. So subscribe now.